And the escalating conflict in West Asia poses a serious threat to regional stability and the global economy. Recent missile attacks by Iran on Israel have raised alarms about potential disruptions in vital shipping routes and oil supplies. The Red Sea shipping route, vital for global trade and responsible for about 20% of the world's oil supply, is increasingly at risk. Oil prices have surged over 5% following the recent attacks, with Brent crude nearing $75 a barrel. Eurozone government bond yields inched away from multi-month lows on Thursday. Indian stock markets are already feeling the strain, with indices like the Sensex and Nifty opening lower. All right, to talk more on this, we are joined by my colleague Amit Mukherjee from the newsroom. Amit, the attacks continue from Israel and Iran is making some diplomatic moves. Fill us in with more details. What are the latest developments in the region?
Well, Abhishek, as of now, the situation is very tense out there, and everybody is focusing on what is going to happen next. Now, if you look at it, Israel suffered the last ballistic missile attack from Iran. So everybody's eyes are on in that particular area, on Israel as to what its next move will be. In fact, if you have seen in the past that Israel has been coming up with absolutely ideas which nobody can even think of. I mean, in terms of both, the extent and in terms of the nature of the attacks that Israel has been launching. Now, Israel constantly has been conducting air raids as far as Hezbollah targets are concerned in the southern suburbs of Beirut. In fact, the intel headquarters of Hezbollah was also attacked about 3-4 hours back. Now, if sources are to be believed, Israel is focusing on the commanders-in-chief of Hezbollah as of now, because if you look at what happened about a week back, the chief Nasrallah has been eliminated. But although the fact that there are rumors about new, his successors like Hashim Safedia's name has been coming up. So a lot of speculations are on that that Israel is also targeting Hashim right now. Hashim Safedia. He's supposed to take over. He's supposed to be the successor of Nasrallah. And also another important thing that is going to happen is today being a Friday, everybody is gathering at Tehran where Ayatollah Khomeini is supposed to address, the Jummah gathering, the Friday gathering outside the mosque. So everybody is looking forward to what message Ayatollah Khomeini puts out for the world. Now, you have been talking about a likely sort of a diplomatic efforts are on from Iran's point of view. But as of now, it's up to Israel how it responds to the last air attack. If you recall, the air raids, the missile attacks which were conducted by Iran on Israel, Nevatim Airport was actually attacked, and about 3 major buildings suffered, major destructions in Israel. So, Israel is yet to respond to that severe barrage of about almost 200 missiles which was launched into Israeli territory by Iran. So everybody's eyes are right now locked onto what is going to happen next in terms of the Israeli move. Abhishek?
All right, Amit, stay with us. We are also joined by Ambassador Sanjay Bhattacharya, who is former Secretary MEA. Welcome, Ambassador. Welcome to DD India. Appreciate you giving us your precious time. Sir, tell us, attacks continue in West Asia. Iranian president was in Qatar yesterday trying to rally diplomatic support. From Doha, he issued fresh warning to Israel, Pezeshkian, trying to rally the Islamic world, Muslim world. And he knew Israel could attack any moment, but he traveled all the way to Doha. Tell us in detail, what are the dynamics?
Are you asking me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, of course. I think the continuing conflict in West Asia is extremely disturbing because it marks not only a deepening of the conflict and the scale and scope of the operations have been expanding. And I think this is extremely damaging, not just for the participants in this particular conflict, but also for the region and the wider world at large. You would recall that recently our Cabinet Committee on Security Affairs had met because of these developments. What it means is that when this war continues, there is the scope of it possibly expanding into a direct confrontation between the major protagonists in that region. And if there is to be a direct confrontation between Iran and Israel, say for instance, that would have huge consequences. As it is, we already see that the Israeli attacks on Lebanon have had the Lebanese army retaliating, in addition to what the Hezbollah has been trying to do. This entire situation is damaging on three fronts. Firstly, the instability in the region is extremely harmful for the peace and security of the region, the safety of the citizens and the civilians who are there, including Indian citizens who live in that region. So we are extremely concerned about it. The effects on the economic side have already been felt, because we've seen that for the last 3 days, the oil prices have been going northwards, and there is the possibility of disruptions in supply chains, in the maritime links that we have. A lot of our trade, about 40% of our trade goes through that particular area. And therefore, if the continued hostilities will endanger our foreign trade and economic prospects. And finally, I think there is the larger risk because, as we know, both Israel and Iran do have larger capabilities in terms of military and technology. And we do not want either of these countries to be pushed to an edge where they have to take very desperate measures. So I think the approach that the Indian side has taken, which is absolutely the right one, which is to call upon both sides to cease hostilities and look for a diplomatic solution. However, we are also realistic about this. We know that the situation is very supercharged over there, and we hope that better sense will prevail.
Amit, Sir, Ambassador, sir, stay with us. We'll come back to you. But Amit, Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei is already addressing, issuing a rare sermon. What do we understand his rare public appearance?
Well, Abhishek, Khamenei, whatever he speaks during this sermon on the Friday's prayer meeting, is going to define what the intentions to a certain extent of Iran is as far as this conflict is concerned. But certainly one thing is very clear, that Israel is planning to retaliate what it faced about 3-4 days back. As the ambassador rightly pointed out, situation out there is very tense. Meanwhile, Israel is also conducting combing operations in Gaza, where they have reportedly recovered, they have evacuated another Israeli citizen who was abducted last October, on the 7th of October, when the Hamas squads actually infiltrated the Israeli territory, and they abducted Israelis from back to Gaza. So that is happening. Constant air raids are ongoing on Hezbollah headquarters and locations in Lebanon right now. So again, it's going to define as to what is Iran's next. Khamenei's statement would again define what's Iran's next step is going to be. And just talking about diplomacy would not really work, because they have to make their intentions very clear. It has either to kind of address in a way that talks about de-escalation of the ongoing conflict right now in that region. So unless and until both sides come up with some positive statement, concrete statement regarding ceasefire or some sort of a de-escalation, I don't really think the situation, because the ground realities are different where attacks are going on. Talking diplomacy on the other hand, when attacks are on, doesn't really make sense. Abhishek?
All right, Amit, we'll leave it at that for the time being, but yes, we'll keep taking updates from you. Ambassador, I'll come to you again. Israel is fighting with multiple opponents, multiple countries, all linked together with one player, Iran. And Israel has the support of US, Iran has its proxies. Where do you think the war is heading?
I think what we do see is that when the war was declared after the gruesome 7th of October incident in which Hamas and Islamic Jihad were primarily responsible, The war declaration itself was against Palestinians in Gaza, but we have seen that this particular attack against Palestinians was not confined to Gaza, and there had been a lot of attacks in the West Bank as well. We also noticed that the supporters of Hamas and the Islamic Jihad, the proxies of Iran in Lebanon, and that is the Hezbollah, and the Houthis from Yemen were particularly active in combating the Israeli attacks on Palestinians. There was, as you would notice, and even today we do not see any particular significant support or contribution of other Arab countries. They have not joined the effort on either side. And so in some sense, the escalation that is happening is going up exponentially between Iran and Israel, and the others in the region are, in a sense, not active in this particular scenario. And in fact, some of them have also said that they do not wish to be involved. This is rather unfortunate because the conflict, if it goes up every step, and every action will have a retaliation in that particular context. It doesn't need to be a case of where did it begin, but where will it? And that's why I think even though the situation is very tense, it is important for the back channels to be urging both sides that there is a need to de-escalate. But otherwise, this continuous tit for tat will see them nowhere. And it will imperil the security of Israelis in Israel. It will imperil the security of Iranians in Iran and its proxies in the neighborhood.
But Ambassador, last question before we leave you. I mean, if Israel attacks Iran, Tehran will need more retaliatory options and West Asia will remain trapped in a cycle of violence. How will this war end? Who can play a mediator role?
Well, I don't think, a mediator is somebody who's very welcome in this particular situation at present, because you've seen that there have been voices within the American community as well who've urged for a lessening of the intensity, whether there has to be reciprocal action, proportionality has sometimes been lost out. So I don't think mediators at this stage will have a very large voice. But I think what the major powers who are behind this will have to tell each side that there is need for de-escalation. I think at the end of the day, the two sides will just have to de-escalate. I don't see any possibility for any direct negotiations between the two sides at this stage. If it were to happen, it'll happen at a later date. But the major powers will have to come in and urge the two sides to calm down.
Major powers will play an important role, and they need to tell that, yes, we need to de-escalate. Thank you, Ambassador Bhattacharya. Thank you for giving us your precious time.